Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me this afternoon for a little introduction into Microsoft Forms. My name is Joe Swoboda here at the Miller Group. Helping me out this afternoon is Alexandra Palmer. She will, well, we'll get to her little role here in a second. We will be doing a $50 Amazon giveaway, gift card giveaway at the end of this. I'm thinking this webinar is going to take about a half hour. Microsoft Forms, we can kind of cruise through this at some of the basics here. But if you missed this one or any of our other webinars that we've done, you can find them at on our website at themillergroup.com/live events. Some topics that we've covered in the past is Microsoft Teams and a deep dive into Teams. Those were viewed by quite a few people and pretty popular, and we've had ongoing discussions with individuals one-on-one since then. Microsoft Forms is a part of Office 365 and does integrate into Teams, and we'll show a little bit of that at the end. If you do have some, that's a little bit interactive, if you do have any questions at any time, over on the right-hand side of your screen, you can go ahead and select the Ask a Question option, and at the end, Alex will hit me up with questions that you guys have, and we'll try to cover those. And that's our live events page there. You can see that we have some other ones listed there. What are we going to cover today? We're going to cover exactly what is Microsoft Forms. How do we make a form? We'll walk through creating a simple form with all the different options that you have there. We'll go into how you can share forms internally and externally. So internally with your other employees or externally with your clients. And then we'll kind of get through some real life, we'll show you some real life uses as well. So what is Microsoft Forms? Microsoft Forms is a simple, lightweight app that lets you easily create surveys, quizzes, and polls. In companies, it can be used to collect customer feedback, measure employee satisfaction, improve your product or business, or organize company events. Microsoft Forms is free with Office 365 licenses. And most of you that are on this call should have Office 365, so you already get this. And I'll kind of show you how to get into that as we go. Forms is available to use on your desktop and mobile browsers, ensuring that a broad audience can respond to your surveys or quizzes without having to download a separate app or use a separate program. There's the free Microsoft Forms, or I guess the Forms that comes with Office 365 licenses, but there's a step up, Microsoft Forms Pro, and that can get a little bit pricey as far as a monthly cost, but it does add some advanced analysis features and reporting and some additional formatting. But for majority of people on this call, and myself included, the regular Microsoft Forms is plenty to kind of get you going. So making a form, we're going to jump in on how to make a form. So let me pull up my screen here. So if you go to portal.office.com, which looks like this page here, you'll see forms listed here in your tabs, or up in the upper left-hand corner is what Microsoft calls the blue waffle. You can click on that and see all the apps that you get with your Office 365 license. Please bear in mind here, you may be seeing some apps listed on mine that you don't have. We do have, being a Microsoft partner, we do have access to the majority of the applications that they offer. But you can click on the more apps and type it in there if you can't find it. But once you do click on that, it opens right up. You may have a little video that pops up kind of walking you through a quick tutorial of how to do it, but this is what it looks like. So on this page right here, you have forms and you have quizzes. The big difference between forms and quizzes is quizzes, just think of it, this is kind of built for educational purposes as well. So Microsoft does have a part of their 365 platform is educational based for classroom type use. So teachers can use this to go ahead and make quizzes. And at the end of the quiz, the the students can get their score right away, live. For the most part, for companies and what we're doing and these purposes, we're going to be using a form. So to get started, you just click on New Form. This page will open up here. You can see at the top, we have the ability to add a title. Not only can you add the actual title, and this will be the title of the form. This will be what you'll see when you go back and look at all the forms you created. You can put a description of what that form is for, but then you can also add a picture or insert an image for the title of your form as well. This does bring this up where you can go ahead and search Bing. They, of course, being Microsoft, that they're using Bing for the search engine as opposed to Google. But you can just type in an image here, and let's be careful what we choose, and we'll just do tree. And you can just select that right there, and that'll add it to the title of your form. And we're going to call this All About Trees. A survey about trees. So that's kind of the top part of it. Then you get into where you actually start asking some of the questions. So when you click on Add New to add a question here, you have some choices here. The first choice is actually just a choice. You can add as many options as you want, and you can have multiple answers for this. The second one would be text, which allows you to go ahead and have short or long text answers. Next one is a rating, so you can pick the level you want them to rate out of, for instance, like 1 through 5, 1 through 10. A date, so you can have them fill in a date. So for instance, maybe you're asking what date works best for you or something similar along those lines. You have the date chooser there, and we'll get into a little bit more detail about all these. Next one is underneath the arrow here, you can drop that down. You do have a ranking, which does allow you to choose many options as you want to have them rank the options. There is a Likert, which allows the individual to express how much they agree or disagree with a particular statement. So like agree, somewhat disagree, totally disagree. There's a file upload, so you can have them upload something to the survey, and a Net Promoter Score, which is basically an answer based on a scale of 1 through 10. And then you can also add the different sections, so you can break your forms up into different sections. So for instance, we will get here and we will add a choice. So when you choose choice, or you choose any of them, you basically have a question or a title of what that question would be. So do you, let's see if we can like trees. So you can see there that Microsoft has a lot of recommended options based upon kind of what you're typing in there. Right there, it gave me suggestive options of yes, no, and maybe. So I can type in my option set of yes, no, and then even add another option for maybe, or I can just click on add all, which you can see it automatically does that really quick. And then I could add another option if I wanted to. Don't really care. And so there you have one question. Going down, you can add another new one. So for instance, a text, we will type in here, tell me, my keyboard doesn't want to work. What your favorite tree is. And you can see where they have then the option to fill that blank in. You can have a long answer, which gives them a lot more space to type. And you can make that required, which is great as well. You could put a subtitle inside here, and we could do branching, which we'll get into in a little bit. So that's a text one. A rating. So you can see by default, it's 1 through 5. You can change 1 through 10. You can make the star or a number like that. So how awesome are trees? Of a level of 1 through, we'll just say 9. Again, you can make that required or not required. We go down to another one. There's your date. You can see here, please tell me when you fell in love with trees. And I had no idea I was going to be talking about trees while we're doing this, but here we go. So that's that. We can do, for instance, a file upload, and it creates a new upload there. Please upload a picture. I'm typing, it's not typing anything on my screen. And you can limit the size of the attachment there and how many files they can attach as well. And of course, you can make that required. And on, let's see, what else do we have here? The Likert one's pretty good. So for instance, inside here, you could, I don't know what you could type, please rate the following trees. So we could have an oak tree, and your option could be they suck. And option number 5 could be I love them. You get the gist there, where they can, and you can add multiple choices there, and change any of these or add more options. Have quite a few options there. Another one you can do is, of course, the Net Promoter Score, with again 0, 1 through 10, and you can put a picture in there as well. And if we wanted to, we can add a section. So if we wanted to have section 2, and let's talk about I know you can hear me typing. There we go. We can talk about grass. And so in this section, then we can add questions about grass. So that's kind of the different choice sets. Where did my screen go? Different choice sets and how you kind of get through those. So what we can do, though, in addition to that, is what's called branching. So for instance, let's say on this question here, do you like trees? If they answer yes, perhaps we want to ask them what their favorite tree is. If they answer no, maybe we want to take them straight to the second section about grass. So let's just type in a quick little, what is your favorite grass? All right, so for branching, so we can come up here to question number 1. We can click on the 3 little ellipticals here, and we can say add branching. Here it says, okay, if they choose yes for do you like trees, we can say, okay, good. Let's go to question number 2. If they say no, let's jump down to grass and just bypass the rest of the questions related to that. If they choose I don't really care, we can tell them to go to the end of the form, which is right there. So that gives a couple different options there. And then go back. So that's the kind of the basics of how to create the questions and format your form. There's some other things then we can get into. So there are themes.
Joe, we have a question.
Question already?
Yes. Will there be a demonstration about a sign-up or registration form for an event?
I will walk through that, yes.
Okay.
All right, so in themes, you can, that's basically changing, for instance, the background or the color scheme. You can see the title of the formatting, the pictures, I guess, have kind of changed their color scheme. You can put backgrounds in there as well. And then you can also then upload your own pictures or customize your colors here as well. So if we wanted to make the background a big tree, it thinks, and it should make it a tree. I chose that. Here we go. So there's the tree in the background. Clicking on the preview button here will show you what it will look like on somebody's computer. And then you can also click on the mobile, which will show what it'll look like on a phone. So you see, for instance, here on the one that we created, the very first question has a branching option. And again, I did not choose trees on purpose, but branches, trees. So if you do select, for instance, here, we're selecting no, and we say next, you can see how it dropped down all back down to grass. If we go back and choose yes, you can see where the rest of the questions popped up here that we had. Cool, cool. All right, so that is themes. So now there's some settings. Up here in the top left, you have some settings options. You have the ability right here at the very top here, so who can fill out this form? So right by default, it says only people that are inside my company can fill out this form. So if you want to make it a public one, you select the option anybody with a link can fill out this form. Then you want to go to, if you do the one with anybody with a link, you'll see here it says the names of the responders will not be recorded because they'll all be anonymous. But if you do people internally, it'll record a name, and then you can also limit it where they can only respond once. So for instance, here at the Miller Group, we do an Employee of the Month survey where we question each other about who they think was above and beyond that month, and they only get to vote once. So one response per person. You have the ability here to go ahead and accept responses or just show them the form, which is pretty stupid. A start date. So for instance, let's say you put this together, it sits on a website or it sits inside your Microsoft Teams, but you don't want people to fill it out until a certain date. Or more importantly, you want to have an end date. So after this time, you will no longer accept responses. You can then customize your thank you messages. By default, when somebody fills the form out and hits submit, it's just going to say your response was submitted. You could put more information in here as far as thank you, or maybe a link to a different page, or whatever you would like to do there. You can tell it to send an email to the response to the people that have filled that out. And again, that's only going to work for people inside your organization. And then you can also choose it, since you're the person who built the form, that you will get notifications anytime somebody has filled out said form. So that's some of the just basic defaults there with Microsoft Forms. Again, I told you we are going to cruise through this. Let's go back to this. So working with forms in your team. So it's great for you to go ahead and create your own form, but you may have times where you're going to need other people inside your organization to go ahead and communicate with you, or maybe make changes to that form. Or, you know, for instance, when we make our live events, Alex will go ahead and create the form, but then I need the form or the link to the form so I can go ahead and manipulate the data that comes in with that form to do some automation behind the scenes. So she creates them, but I need to be able to look at it as well. So we need to look into how do we share our forms. Inside here is the wonderful share option. So clicking on share, you have the ability right here to go ahead again to say anybody can respond or only people inside my organization. You have the ability here to go ahead and get a link, which is what this link is right here. You can create a QR code, which you can download and send to people so they can scan that in their phone, or you can put it on a website. So when they scan it, it will take them straight to the form. You can embed the form, and we use it on our live signups. I'll show you that in a little bit, how we have our form embedded inside there. You can email the form to somebody, which when I clicked on that, it opened up a new email. And you can see here, it says, here's a link to the form, all about trees. There's the link. Then you can go ahead and share it. So you can create it as a template that you want to go ahead and allow people at your company to use based on the template that you created. So again, here, for instance, on the Employee of the Month stuff, we create a default Employee of the Month survey. we create it as a template, and then the next time we go to create the next month's survey, we just choose the template and just change the month name. Or you can share to collaborate, which basically allows other people inside your organization to go ahead and make changes here. So people with an Office 365 account can change it. So that means anybody with an Office 365 account can work with that. So you can share it outside your organization, you share it inside your organization, or just go ahead and choose specific people. So in this case here, let's just say I just want Alex to go ahead and work with me on this form. I do that and edit it, and now Alex has the ability to go ahead and access and make changes to that form. I'm the owner, she can view and edit it. Simple, simple, simple. All right, so that's working with forms with a team. And so some ideas of what you can do in your business. And again, we'll go through some examples here that what we've done internally, but you can use it for employee of the month voting. You can do RSVPs to parties. You can schedule employee reviews. You can have employee satisfaction surveys, you know, request time off forms, quiz new hires on important company information, or just even, you know, maybe a product or a service that you're offering. You want to make sure everybody kind of knows the basics. You can kind of do like a pop quiz about it. Externally though, customer surveys, client testimonials, job applications, quoting. You can schedule meetings and RSVP to company events, kind of like what we do with ours. So Microsoft Forms by itself seems pretty basic, but when you add it to the rest of the Office 365 platform is really where it gets extremely popular. And this is an introduction to Microsoft Forms, but I do want to show you what you can do above and beyond that. So I'm going to bring over our Microsoft Teams environment here. So I created, this is Microsoft Teams. Hopefully you guys are familiar with this and using it. If you are not, please go out to our website and underneath the live events and view some of our recordings. I highly recommend and almost urge every company to be using Microsoft Teams. It's a collaboration and communication hub for Microsoft Office 365 products, but it can really transform the way that you communicate internally with your users, your company, your employees, and then externally with your clients as well, just making you so much more efficient. But for instance, inside Microsoft Teams here, I have, this is a team here. The general is a channel. And then inside that channel, I have tabs up at the top. One tab that I created here, for instance, is a form that, a demo form that I created, but you can see how this form is one that I created inside Microsoft Forms and just attached it inside here into Teams, where somebody could fill this out at any given time. This one does happen to have branching based upon their answer. You just type in Joe and hit submit. And see, then again, this is kind of the default response. You can change those around. So that's kind of how you can integrate it into Microsoft Teams. And if for anybody that has Teams and wants to kind of do that, it's pretty quick and simple. You just click on Add a Tab, type in Forms up there at your at the top there to search for it. It brings it open. You can create a brand new form right here and put that in there, or you can do an existing form and you can see this is pulling all the forms that I've done in the past that are my forms I own. Going back to integrating it into a website, we'll go out here to our website and go to our virtual event. And most of you, this is how you signed up for our virtual event, but you can see right inside here, this is actually a Microsoft form that we have just a couple different questions in. But inside here, then, when you fill this out, it's just embedded into our website. When you fill this out and hit submit, is really where the powerful stuff comes in. And so what I've done here is you guys have gone ahead and signed up to that event, and then we utilize something called Power Automate, or in the old days, it was called Microsoft Flow, which allows it to do some other things. So when you signed up for this event, you then automatically got an email back with a calendar invite inside that. So let's take a look at kind of what you can do with forms and making it a little bit more powerful here. Nothing like silence. Do we have any other questions while I'm waiting on this, Alex?
No.
Okay, good. So let's see here. Here's our Microsoft Forms calendar event, and I'll just kind of walk you through the thinking here. So what I was able to do is when a new response is submitted, this is the form ID. So this is the form, each form has an ID. And so for instance, here's an example too. Here's all my forms. Here's forms that have been shared by me or shared with me. You can see Alex is the creator of some of these forms here. So that's where you would see forms that people have shared with you. So inside, if you open up a form up at the top, there is a form ID right here. And you may reference that if you're using some of the Power Automate tools. But anyway, so when a new form is created, it gets the responses. So it'll go through and take a look at the responses that were inside there. And then we have it where it'll post something to our team saying, hey, person with this first name and their last name with this company has signed up for our event. Then we have it set where it goes into a SharePoint list and it records that information. It records the person who signed up, their first name, their last name, the company name, email address, and if they're going to be attending or not. From there, we have it going out to a SharePoint folder that has the calendar invite. So an ICS file, it's basically an Outlook calendar attachment. And inside that attachment, it actually has the details of the event. So it's, you know, today's, some of you that have signed up for this, you have a calendar invite for noon today. This was what this file is. And then it sends an email. It'll send the email to the email address of the person who signed up on that form when you typed in your email address. And from here, we, you know, thank you for registering for our event. You know, here's your first name, some information inside there. And then this is where we attach the calendar invite. So then that all goes, that's automated. So all we're doing there is creating the form, putting it on our website. You sign up. You automatically get an email thanking you for signing up. You get a calendar reminder for the event that comes through there as well. Then we here on this side have a SharePoint list that has all these listed here. So if we go down to our marketing, we have the live event signups. This is a SharePoint list that's grabbing information. Every time somebody filled something out, it gets dumped into this list here. So again, that's with some automation as well, but it's all starts with Microsoft Forms, but then we're using Microsoft Teams and SharePoint and, you know, email to send all this stuff out. So it's again, Microsoft Forms, and it's very basic to begin with, but it allows you to collect data and do so much more with it when you really integrate the rest of the Office 365 products, Teams and Power Automate and Power Flow and all that good stuff. All right, so we are.
We had a question. Can people that are not on Outlook respond to a form and submit it? And I went ahead and said yes, but.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you don't have to have Outlook to go ahead and respond to a form. You know, as an example, the live event forms that you guys signed up on, there was no email client needed there for that. The automation on the back end, that Power Automate stuff I was kind of showing you, does require you to have an Office 365 account. The person creating that automation needs one to go ahead and send that out. All righty. Any other questions before we wrap this up? I was able to keep it at 30 minutes.
No questions so far.
Good. All right, so this content here will be recorded. It'll be put up on our site. I will send out a link at the end via an email, and and I'm going to be using the forms email address and the signups that you guys signed up with to go ahead and populate the email that I'm sending out. So again, using forms to further automate some business process there. And then if you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. There's my contact information. But anybody that's still listening right now, out of the 3 or 4 dozen of you that signed up, really wants to know who's winning my $50 gift card. And if you joined any of my previous ones, I had some really cool automation here, but I broke something and didn't have time to fix it and wasn't prepared, whatever. So the winner of this one is whoever is ID number 11. And that will just have to be announced after the fact because I don't have that Excel spreadsheet pulled up. So congratulations, number 11. If you know who you are, great. If not, I'll be sending that out afterwards.
One more question. When a form is filled out for a customer survey, how do you tabulate data?
Oh, you know, that's probably a good thing to show here at the end. So inside forms is the responses, which is great. So for instance, if you go back into any of the forms that you created, let's just go back to the beginning of forms here. And let's choose, let's say, for instance, we did a 2019 Employee of the Month. So inside that, I basically just had 3 questions. You know, who's your first choice? Who's your second choice? Who's your third choice? And why did you enter it? So this is what you would look at if you were designing the form. But then if people have filled that out, you have the responses. So clicking on that will show you each question broken down into some kind of chart that you can go ahead and track the responses. So this is a quick way of looking at it. For instance, on this one, you can see you can kind of move around and highlight things a little bit more. Looking at all the 3 questions there. Now that's combining all the data. What you can do then next is click on Review Results. It'll take you one by one through each person that filled that out and show you what they selected inside there. And you can also see how much time they took to go ahead and complete that as well. You can delete those responses. You can print those responses, and then you can kind of cycle through all the different respondents that you had there. Another thing that you can do is export it to Excel. So by clicking on that, it will download an Excel file, which we can look at right here. And here are the 16 different responses that I got. Here's the, you know, the time that they started it, the time that they ended it, the person that filled it out, their name, and then here's, for instance, this is question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, and question number 4. So you can take that data inside Excel and manipulate it further or do other things with it as well. Completely missed out on showing that. Good question. All righty. If that's all we got, again, please don't hesitate to reach out, email address, or give us a call at 314-822-8090 if you have any questions. And we'll be sending out a survey at the end too about stuff that you would like to discuss or see further. Thanks for your time and have a wonderful weekend.